This is group 3. You've got Jillian, Christina, Bridget, and Salman, and we're here to present to you on why autonomous vehicles are the future for ambulances. So the opportunities for autonomous ambulances are as follows. We've got safety features that will support our ambulance business because of reduction in accident likelihoods, and will provide early detection and treatment of further injury for patients that we do go to pick up. We'll also see improvements in productivity. We'll see improved medical response rates, streamlined communication, we'll get to that later, faster communication on mechanical issues, and then we'll also see some cost efficiency, some reduced costs here with fewer ambulance accidents from human error, reduction in mechanical failures due to proactive checks, as well as improved medical resolve due to faster response rates. So, about us, American Medical Response. Our mission is to be patient focused, customer centered, and caregiver inspired, making a difference by caring for people in need. So, just to give an overview of our competitive position, we are the largest U.S. contract provider of 911 emergency response and non emergency ambulance services. We transport roughly 3 million patients per year for the government, hospitals, and other customers. And when comparing ourselves to competitors, we do come out on top for annual sales at 3.9 billion. Air Methods coming in second, down at 1.56 billion, and then next up Logisticare, and then Acadian Ambulance Service Inc. Salman, you're up.
Okay, okay. So basically, the benefits of the overall emerging technology is to create an all-around neural network chain. And basically, we want when the emergency call comes in, we want the police to be notified along with the hospital, and we feel the autonomous vehicles can communicate with the other organizations to create a better, faster system for the emergency medical response, so the ambulance can quickly respond to the injured patient and point of access. Next. The primary activities that we discussed overall were that safe and efficient transportation of ambulance personnel and patients, effective on-site out-of-hospital treatment, stabilized care in transit, meaning like the patients don't move around too much, and the paramedic can keep them steady compared to focusing on driving, and then early detection and treatment of further injury. And then some secondary activities include patient stability until the emergency vehicle arrives, and then data transfer to hospital for expedited analysis of preparedness. And then the overall benefits of the autonomous vehicle is that it expedites communication channels between 911, EMS, and hospitals, and thus providing enhanced customer service to patients. It also preserves life and promotes recovery through increased response times, since the ambulances can get there much faster compared to humans driving through traffic and things like that, especially in the city. And then decreased liability, property damage, injuries resulting from automobile accidents in ambulances, higher ability to invest in advance in onboard medical equipment and communication systems, and then cost savings through reduction in need for multiple paramedics in each ambulance. Next. One thing that we discussed could be a potential risk is for total system failures could cause many lives to be in jeopardy. For example, like if when New York City power outage went out, like if something like that were to happen in this case, it would cause all the ambulances will probably stop working at the same time, so it would lead to multiple injuries altogether in one sudden go. Potential exposure to hacking, complex and unknown risk profile and liability insurance, increased layoffs, and increased exposure to litigation, especially from union members.
So next we have our financial benefits and costs. First, we sectioned out the facts on ambulances, facts on EMTs, and then we shared our assumptions on how we calculated our return on investment. So, facts on ambulances: we discovered that the average lifespan of your typical ambulance is about 6 years. The cost of your typical ambulance without all the bells and whistles is about $150,000. For the additional upgrades, it's an extra $100,000. So you're looking at about $250,000 total per ambulance. Some facts on EMTs: the median EMT wage is $16.05 per hour. We found that 1 in 3 EMTs work greater than 40 hours a week. So, just for the sake of calculations here for the ROI, we just used 40 hours per week. And then there are typically 3 EMT resources per ambulance trip. So then looking at the ROI, our 3 assumptions are: one, autonomous ambulances will cost on average $250,000, assuming they have all of the bells and whistles, all of the possible upgrades they could possibly have. It's brand new. The second assumption is that 1 EMT is used per ambulance trip only for emergencies. Now, this is assuming that there's no driver and there's only one person that's with the patient in the back, but we certainly recognize that there are times and instances where it would be most appropriate to have maybe a second person there to do some heavy lifting or just as an extra set of hands. But for the purpose of this calculation, we only used 1 EMT instead of the typical 3. And then we also assume that each EMT works 40 hours per week, and that brought our return on investment to 3.7 years. So we're actually saving money by doing this and reducing the total number of EMTs that need to actually be on deck. So I'll go to the next slide to discuss the pilot.
All right, and so to execute the pilot for the rollout of the autonomous ambulances, we decided to start off in the city of Virginia Beach, and based on www.census.gov, we found that the population for Virginia Beach is 450,435, which would bring us to the number of ambulances. So through a little bit of research, we found that for every one ambulance, or for every 50,000 people in the population, there is one ambulance. So in terms of the numbers for Virginia Beach, that would leave us with 9 autonomous vehicle ambulances. Staffing: we have 1 EMT will assist in transport for emergencies as opposed to the regular 3. In regards to buying and licensing, we would do this between the years of 2020 and 2021. So this will be done with each city to obtain their agreement on the changes and explain ROI as well as improved safety benefits for their population. Also in 2021, we would do training. So we would partner with manufacturers to develop and obtain training. And the training would take place in the classroom and would be hands-on. And the training would be a minimum of 40 hours on-hand training that would be required to be completed. And rollout would be set to take place in 2022 and would last a year. And pending successful results, we could start spreading throughout the state of Virginia and then start to expand out to the other states in the nation. Next slide. So to implement the strategy for the pilot, the pilot in Virginia Beach would take place from January 1st, 2022, and it would last all the way till December 31st, 2022. And in that time frame, we would reanalyze ROI, which would include the cost of each ambulance, the cost for maintenance, staffing, and salary requirements also. And then also we would reanalyze value. So that would include the differences in health outcomes for the population for autonomous vehicles versus non-autonomous vehicle ambulances. And then we would reanalyze the crash statistics as well. And then to complete reanalysis, we would predict that would be fully completed by July 1st, 2022. And in this step, we would make the case for rolling out to other cities in the DMV area, or if we find that it's not as successful as we would hope, then we would terminate the idea altogether. Next slide. So this brings us to the success measurement. So we have two separate ideas here. So the first idea is for service quality. So under this idea, we have it is essential that the quality of service provided to the population that require ambulance are not diminished by the change of autonomy. So yes, we want to create autonomy to try and autonomy in vehicles to try and create a better service as far as healthcare goes. But we want to make sure that the service that we're providing is equal or if not better than what is already being provided to the people. We don't want to leave them in a worse off situation. And then also we want to make sure that performing ongoing satisfaction surveys to the population are taking place. Perform ongoing satisfaction surveys to the population that have called upon and experienced an autonomous ambulance firsthand. So to roll out these surveys, we would send the surveys to the hospital to share with the patients at time of discharge. So the patients can then submit their surveys once they return back to the hospital for follow-up from whatever they came into the hospital for initially through the ambulance. Or they can mail in the survey, email in the survey, or fax it back to the AMR. And then secondly, we have system use and usage intentions. So the autonomous ambulance must function as expected 100% of the time. Like I said, we don't want to leave patients in a worse off situation. We're trying to improve their experience and their health care. And then we need to make sure that we're performing daily and ongoing maintenance evaluations to make sure that everything is running smoothly. And if we can catch any hiccups, we can correct them efficiently and hopefully early on. And then weekly leadership system performance reviews. Next slide. And then lastly, this would lead us to the summary of everything that we just spoke about. So autonomous ambulances will, one, enhance patient safety through a reduction in ambulance accidents. Two, provide patient stability and streamline communication to ER and also with 911. And then lastly, increase productivity. So additionally, these enhancements will ultimately be a cost saver. And that is our presentation.